How hard is it to flip a multiplex or an apartment complex?
It
Or
takes a
not
bit.
to flip it, to sell?
Yeah, it takes a bit. There's a lot of research that goes into selling a commercial multifamily property. It can take you 6 months, 8 months, a year in some cases, depending on the size of the place, because there's a lot of due diligence that goes on. And the larger the complex, the more information is required, the more research has to be done. And like things like property management. Let's start with if I'm buying let's say 200 unit, I need on-site property management. And then if that property management, if I'm going through their trailing 12 months of expenses and I'm finding out that their property management is not performing well, then you got to go a different way, which means then you're looking at a startup cost. You're looking at, that whole process there. There's legal stuff about that as well. There's just a lot of calculations that goes into a large commercial multifamily property. The 5 to 50 units, and I'm looking at partnering with another individual right now, and we're going to extend that from 5 to 50. We're going to move that 25 to 75 because the two of us can generate that kind of capital. Then we're looking at larger properties, but we don't have on-site property management. They're a little bit easier to deal with. The issue is like this 6 unit that I'm dealing with right now is the seller is an old school guy. All of his people are on month to month. He's got a property manager that lives in one of his studio apartments. She pays $500 a month for a $1,000 per month rental, which is, look, that's great. I really appreciate the fact that that's the way that you want to do things. She's been there for 22 years. I do guilt. So that's problematic for me. She's lived in the same place for 22 years doing the exact same thing. And that place it's very nice. So I look at when we talk about multifamily properties, the most important thing to me is the big six, right? So you've got your roof, you've got your windows, you got your foundation. Inside, you've got your mechanicals, your plumbing, and your electricity. And everything else is kind of cosmetic when we talk about the multifamily properties. When I walked into that basement yesterday and it was completely dry, not a spot, you couldn't even smell any kind of mildew coming in there whatsoever. That lady takes great care of that property. That's $500 per month that I might be willing to spend. But I can't talk my partner into paying for income that's not there. And $500 a month is very expensive when it comes to a 6 unit. 10% of that 6 unit, you know what? Yeah, it would be about $500 a month. So no, that's actually pretty reasonable. The other issue that we have with that is the individuals who are in there would have to go. So we'd be rotating people in and out as they come up because they're all a month to month. We'd be raising rents. The possibility is that we wind up with an eviction. And if that happens, luckily we're in Burlington County, not Camden County. That makes a difference.
Right.
County versus Blue County in New Jersey.
You don't just throw it at an accountant, let an accountant take care of all of it?
Too expensive. Now, I'd rather just have the bookkeeper go in there. And then, so my accountant has access to all of my stuff. So all he has to do at the end of tax time, well, you heard Rye Guy say one time, like we'll file an extension. I don't pay my taxes quarterly. He doesn't pay his taxes quarterly. I'd rather pay the penalty because at the end of the year, it gives me the opportunity to offset the amount of money that I owe.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to figure out if I'm not throwing money at the state or federal government. So in this particular case, I'd rather have the bookkeeper and the accountant. The accountant can go in, pull the reports that he needs, and he'll have my taxes done in 20 to 30 minutes. Tie it all together. This is the way it works. I have a tasker in Asana, which is the program that I use for basically the performance of my company. And so Ron, my assistant, has that tasker that comes out monthly and it says, hey, it's October 5th, or in this case, hey, it's December 5th. It's time to go in and pull all of the statements from November and then drop them into the accounting folder on Google Drive. So he does that. He pulls everything, puts it into the specific folder. So it's bank statements, credit cards, mortgages, the property management statements, all that. And then the bookkeeper can then go in there, and he had his own email address. He had Akib at Bud Evans Consulting. Now it's Aim High Properties. He had that access to that account. He could go in there, pull those documents down, and then balance all of my accounts. If he had questions, he would send me an email and I just answer them through that. But the great thing about it was, if we pull the property management statements down in a comma separated CSV file, they import directly into QuickBooks, which makes everything so much easier, because everything that I need to write off from property management and, bills or contractors or maintenance of any sort goes right into the system. It's very easy. And he was very good at that, but he was in Mumbai. He started his own company and now he's doing his thing over there. So good for him. Akib, good guy. So to put it in perspective, Ron pulls the documentation, puts it into the folder. The new bookkeeper goes in there, reconciles my statements. All I have to do is go in and make sure that everything is basically reconciled. The statements that we have are reconciled to the books. If there are transactions pending, or if there are questions about what a transaction is, I answer it. Very simple. He or she goes back in there, fixes that. And then at the end of the year, it's okay. We're going to wait 2 months after the tax deadline. We're going to file our return late, because percentages, right? Numbers work that way. And then it goes off in 20 minutes. Dave goes in there, pulls the reports that he needs, drops it into his system, which is compatible with QuickBooks, and it's gone.
So do you training them? Do you get Dave or your accountant involved with training the new people?
No, I don't have to. So my VA, my assistant, my personal assistant, doesn't need training. He's already got the training. I set that up for just do this, this, and this. Then my bookkeeper, they've got access to QuickBooks. They're QuickBooks certified. All they have to do is go into QuickBooks and go this, this, and this. And then Dave is a CPA. He knows exactly what reports he needs, balance sheet, cash flow statement, profit and loss, pulls those out. Any receipts I have, he knows exactly where to get those, because it's me, right, Larry? So it's like my receipts are listed like this: 01.11/2021, who it's from, what it's for, and the date. Then it's 01 dot date, who it's from, what it's for, and so on and so forth, down through, like, I'm up to 11. So every time I get an invoice, that goes right into that folder, and all of those documents get uploaded into the year-end tax folder.
So you get your invoices, whatever they may be, whether they're paper or digital. You put the paper ones digital, then you send it to the bookkeeper. They put it in the QuickBooks.
Yep.
I don't know much about QuickBooks. I've played with it a little bit, but I'm not familiar. But my son-in-law is an accountant, and he does accounting for very, very large companies. Anyway, so I'm going to have him get with me, and he wants to get into real estate investing. So I'm working really hard to make him one of my team members, I guess you'd say.
Nice.
I'm going to say private money lender, but
put him right in underwriting. You're a numbers guy. I know exactly where to put you. Every deal I send you, check it out, make sure it fits. If it fits, we buy it. If it doesn't, we don't. Right? You have them work with your acquisitions person, which is you right now.
So what does your acquisition manager do, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. So I have a lead generation person who does cold calling, SMS texting campaigns, and then fields text messages from Mobi in RealFlow. Okay. So if somebody sends a text message from Mobi, like my bandit sign is we buy houses, text cash to this phone number, which is a RealFlow thing. And then I'll put those out. I'll put 5 out in a different neighborhood, like every weekend. And then when they come in on Sunday, Saturday, Monday, whatever, within 24 to 48 hours, Monday to Tuesday, they're actually following up. She's following up with the addresses and then dropping that information into RealFlow. Then I have a lead manager who takes that information, because now it's not a cold call or a text message or an SMS. It's now a lead, especially from the bandit signs. It's now a lead. So that drops into the lead category in RealFlow on my Scrum board. And then my lead manager will call them and say, hi, I'm with Aim High Properties. I'd just like to ask you a few questions before I turn you over to acquisitions. Is that okay? Okay, cool. No problem. As long as I don't say no, we'll put them on the back burner. They'll get emails and text messages for like 3 years. Eventually they'll come back to me. Otherwise, she'll ask them the questions, put that information in the seller lead sheet, drop that into the acquisitions person. The acquisitions person, who right now is me, which is why I have this issue going on, that will drop in. Ron will take that. It goes into Slack as we have a lead. It's no longer a call. We have a lead. This is the address. This is the person. This is the link. And, the property is located at such and such and 3-bed, 2-bath, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll click on that link. It takes me to, the CRM that I'm using at the time. And then all of the information is populated in RealFlow. I'll pick up the phone or I'll walk out there depending on what they want. Because a lot of times people will be like, just give me a call and let me know when you're coming out. And that's okay, because that's a yes in my book. So then I'll pick up the phone. I'll be like, in this case, like the other day, I was like, hey, Chris, it's Bud Evans from AMI Properties and eXp Realty. Just wanted to let you know that, we're still interested in giving you a no obligation value on your property. Would you like me to come out there on Wednesday or Thursday this week? Well, you know what, Bud, that's not really good for me. Why don't we talk about Friday or Saturday? You got any time on Saturday? Sure, man. 11 o'clock work for you? Yeah, 11 o'clock's great. Okay, I will see you on Saturday at this address, this time, and we'll go from there. All right, awesome. So then I don't put that on my calendar. I want to keep everything in its lane, right? So I'll text or Slack chat Ron, hey, it's the same thread. So this address, click on the thread button, appointment, this time, this location, this date. And then it shows up as a task in my Google Calendar.
So you give it to him and he puts it in there for you.
Yes. And acquisitions then, so if I close that deal, okay, if I were to close that deal, let's say it's a wholesale, I'm going to run that through, because I don't have a dispositions person yet. So my acquisitions is also my dispositions person. Acquisitions is buying the property. Dispositions is getting rid of the property in one way or another. It goes wholesale, it goes flip sale, or it goes burr.
So they're your exit manager.
Yes. Dispositions is exit management. Yeah. Great term. Absolutely. So in this case, I pick up the property. I go, okay, Chris, this is great. Appreciate this. I love this as a buy and hold. We're going to buy this today. Same thing, basically, hey, look, man, I was in the hospital till 3 o'clock in the morning. I apologize. Any chance I can get out there on Monday or Tuesday? Well, no, but can you just make me the offer? Sure. No problem. 117,000. Well, I want it 124. I understand that. You sent me a video. We did the FaceTime walkthrough. I get it. I know you want 124. Can you do 117? No, I can't do 117. All right. What do you need? I need 119. Done. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. I'm going to pull $1,450 a month. It's right next to one of the best high schools in the area. Not that it matters, because it's a 1-bedroom, right? So, but because it's in that close proximity, the rents are ridiculously high.
Right.
So that's how I dealt with that. Now, that would then ordinarily, that would go from me as acquisitions directly to dispositions. Dispositions would take that, drop it into title. Title would start the process of sending all of the documentation over to this individual. Because my acquisitions manager is going to have to be a part of all of these phases, my acquisitions manager is a real estate agent who gets, if it's a wholesale, great. He's going to get a percentage of the property. So if I buy the property and then rehab the property, rent it out and refinance it, he gets 10% of the refinance, up to $70,000. And then he gets 15% after that. Okay. You know what? If you go on to the job description is, if you go into the Facebook page for Tarek Homeschooled, the job description is there. The salary breakdown is not, because this is the salary breakdown for the individual who's going to be interviewed on Monday. And this is a negotiated term. So we have to find out, we're negotiating right now, whether or not he's actually going to be the person. Okay. And if that's the case, then that will go to contract. Okay. Same thing. I have a project manager. My project manager is a former general contractor. He's still licensed in the state of New Jersey. He gets 15% off the top of every flip that he does, all the management of the GCs. Once he hits 70,000, he gets 20%. This is not revenue sharing. This is profit sharing. Okay. That's a very important aspect of this. So if I'm doing a wholesale for 10 grand, the marketing fees come off. If I've got to pay somebody $1,000 to bird dog me that property, or a real estate agent, I've got to pay them $1,000 to market that property, then they're only getting 10% of $9,000.
Right.
Okay.
That I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
That's how I've always paid my dealers, is profit sharing. Well, we used to call it commissions, but everybody likes the profit sharing term nowadays.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And they only got percentage of the profits, not a percentage of the deal, because there's a lot that comes out of it. It would eat your lunch if you tried to do it the other way.
Yeah.
A lot bigger, a lot faster than we are. We have some people doing this minute pain in the ass stuff that I'm doing.
Hey, everything's minute until it's not, right?
Who does your comps for you? The acquisition manager?
Right now I do, because the acquisition manager that I'm looking at is still in agent school, still in agent training. So, and that's another benefit It's another income stream. So as an EXP agent, I can bring this individual in, put him under my line in EXP. And then when he sells a property for my company, I'll let him take the commission because I'm getting the upline and I'm getting a referral.
So who is the EXP? Is a real estate company?
It is. Yeah, it's the one that I'm in. I fall under REVA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's me, then Ryan Burke, then Chris Carrico, then I think JD Asajan from Fortune Builders.
So how do you get into something like that?
I will send you a link and then we talk. And then we have a conversation about where you fit and exactly how you start. And I have a whole Asana checklist on the things that you would need to do to get spun up and started and then actually start to flow deals. My son gets phone calls about my properties all the time. My wife gets phone calls about my properties all the time. That I respect. Whoever's doing that Skiptracing, I want them. And guess what? It's probably John Paul Kilduff with bestskiptracer.com. Right? That's probably who it is because when I use JP's Skippy, right? bestskiptracer.com, I'm getting 2 to 3 landlines and 4 wireless numbers, up to 4 wireless numbers and a couple of email addresses as well. Not only do I get the property that we're talking about, the address drops in that, but I also get the property where the owner is. Okay. So if it's 123 LLC, I get the LLC mailing address. Yeah. Okay. Larry, are you tracking your key performance indicators? KPIs.
What is that?
Okay, so you need to track what you're paying per skip, and then you need to weigh that. And the reason that I use bestskiptracer.com now still is I know that for 1,000 leads, if I'm paying the standard rate with Best Skip Tracer, I'm paying 20 cents per lead. Or for 1,000 leads, I'm paying $200.
$200.
Math, right? Math. If I buy the $97 per month program, their pro package, I think it is, right. It's $97 a month for the same 1,000 leads. I'm paying $177. Then it's economies of scale. So for every 1,000 that I put in there, and I'm doing about 10,000 a month, it just goes down because I'm paying 11 cents per skip as opposed to 20 cents or 14 cents.
And it makes a difference when you're doing big numbers like that. I'm doing 10 or 15 a week, so it's not that big a deal right now.
Not right now, but it will be. I'm just putting that out there.
So do you track how many of them, all the numbers? Like I've had several where the numbers were all dead. The people that own the house had basically died and it had not shown up in the county that somebody else had bought it or whatever for the skip tracing to find it. The numbers in all of it, they don't change. From what I did with Rainbow to this, they don't change that.
It's all percentages, right? Now, the reason that I did the bandit signs that I just kind of peeked at is because it's an opt-in program. So there's an 85% conversion rate on those.
Because they contacted you.
Because they're contacting me as opposed to me reaching out and calling them. Yeah. So when that happens, that'll drop into RealFlow. They can either drop their address into RealFlow and then the lead gen person will go in there, pick it up, drop it into DealFlow, notify D, who will then she'll take that, make the call, go through the seller lead sheet, and then put that into the evaluation process, which then notifies me by text message and email. Then I'll actually pick up the phone and go, hey, what works for you tomorrow or Monday? Then I'll send a Slack message to Ron. Hey, I'm going out there on Monday at 2:00. He puts the tasker in Monday at 2:00. I get a notification about 1 hour prior. Hey, get ready for this. I take my iPad. I go out there. I do my construction cost checklist. Same thing all of you guys do. Are we talking about hard HMLs or PMLs? So hard money lenders are the guys that are like, okay, we're going to give you money on this. 90% of the purchase price plus 100% of the repairs and 8.5% 2 points or something like that. Versus the private money lender who's like, yeah, I know this guy from homeschooled and he's doing a project and I'm going to do the gap funding.
I don't have any private money lenders right now. It's all going to be hard money.
Yes, you do.
Huh?
Yes, you do.
I do.
Yes, because we can talk about that. But here's the thing, Larry, you start putting deals on the table on the website, on Facebook, you start publishing that information on Instagram and on LinkedIn and YouTube. You talk about deals on here and I share this link and people are going to reach out to you being like, hey, listen, I've got, if you need money, let me know. One of my former students, Brett, was on the page today with one of his coworkers. And the coworker said to him something to the effect of, hey, you cocky, right? You making any deals? And Brett goes, well, yeah, I made like one last month. I made one this month. They're both rental properties and good for him. He listened right? He learned the curriculum. He learned the methodology. Essentially, it was, how do people get involved with that? And he said, well, generally I pay my investors somewhere between 8 and 12% on their money for the period of time in simple interest that it takes me to borrow this property, refinance it, and give them their money back. And the guy said, well, why haven't you ever asked me? And Brett said, I'm asking you now. And the guy immediately turned around and said, I have 50 grand. He had $150,000 in his checking account earning 1%.
Yeah, that sucks.
And inflation is over 6 right now. And that's just the inflation rate. That's not the cost of goods.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
actually inflation is like 15% right now.
So you need at least 12% just to pretend like your money's doing anything.
Hey, anything that I can make over checking and savings, I'm doing it. Cash value life insurance policies, put my house into a home equity line of credit instead of a primary mortgage, investing in real estate. I have a thrift savings plan from the military, which I'm getting ready to cash in to put into more real estate so that I can earn 32% or higher. You know, it all depends on what you're willing and ready to do. So we did buy houses by the bundle, okay, which is a portfolio purchase, which I fully and wholeheartedly support. It's a little bit more difficult when you're buying a portfolio, it's a little bit more difficult to do the entire BRRRR process. It kind of breaks down into one at a time or 3 at a time or whatever you can basically get yourself to get to. I've purchased as many as, well, the last deal that I had was 48. And unfortunately, the private money lender fell through. However, you can buy portfolios in the $3 to $5 million range like that. So that's a thing. If you're talking about buying 3, 4, 5, and you can flip all of those and use the BRRRR strategy, absolutely do it. Absolutely. And if you can lock up contractors to do that, do it over and over and over again, as many properties as you can. Keep them busy, keep them happy, and they will work their butts off for you. Private money, we talked about that a little bit, about if you put yourself out there and you're publishing what you're doing on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and your Facebook business page and LinkedIn and all of Snapchat, for crying out loud, which I'm not a fan of, but I have followers on Snapchat. So I'm putting that out there, and there are people that are like, hey, that's awesome. Texting or chatting or whatever you call it. So if you're putting it out there, those leads will come in, right? Those private money leads will come in.
But I've got to get somebody else to do all this. It takes me hours to do 20 houses.
Right.
And then comp them out. Comping's easy, but going through and trying to figure out what they're worth or what they need from pictures is the hard part. So,
agreed. I have a handheld. It's like a selfie stick, but it's a gimbal. So the camera's always in the right position. And I'll walk through a property so I don't have to do it twice. And then I'll take that video and send it to an assistant, and the assistant will then break that down into photos, and then we'll drop all of that into a Google Drive. And then instead of sending just the video or just the photos, we'll send the Google Drive link. But here's the thing, Larry, you start putting deals on the table on the website, on Facebook, you start publishing that information on Instagram and on LinkedIn and YouTube. You talk about deals on here, and I share this link, and people are going to reach out to you being like, hey, listen, I've got, if you need money, let me know. This is a 30-minute video. I can probably make about a month and a half worth of media content on this.
If I do, Sean talked about that stuff.
Yeah. If I do a 10-minute video, I can pull 60 different pieces of media content out of it. And it's all original. And I can post it to my website and all that stuff. It's good stuff. Go ahead, ask me. You got a question?
Yeah. The best way to put it out there, just like if I'm looking at a property, just put pictures on Snapchat or wherever. Hey, this is another one of the properties Keystone is looking at picking up.
Yep. I just dropped raw video footage from this into my Google Drive folder. The person that I'm interviewing next week, her entire job, her resume is great, but her interview is take this raw video footage, break it down, create 42 pieces of internet content, and drop it into this folder when you're done. Then I'm going to look at those. She has until Monday. I will look at those, and I will probably hire her on Wednesday. I've seen her work. She does a very good work. So that's how you get your information.
Video and break it down into photos.
Yep. Snapshot. Yeah, absolutely. And then you can take that video, you can cut it into snippets, So I had a friend of mine, Anthony Pinto, who's a multifamily guy he lives in Japan. He's a lieutenant now. I was on his podcast. He did this whole thing. He gave me a couple of snippets. It's up on YouTube on my Aim High Properties page, Aim High Props. And yeah, so that's up there. I did a golf analogy. You're not competing with anybody else. You're actually just competing with yourself all the time.
All the time. I agree
Right.
with that 100%.
Yeah. Right. And and then the other one was, it's not about making mistakes. It's about making the best mistakes so that you can create a win-win situation for you and the other individual. That's another golf analogy. It's, golf is a game of mistakes. It's, you're never hitting the ball in the hole every time you walk up to the tee box. It's not happening.
You should go golfing with me. I put it in the hole every time. Anyway, So how is the REVA people going for you?
REVA is great. I've used them in the past. You know my theories about leadership. If something's going wrong with one of my assistants, it's my fault. So I have 3 currently working for me. I let my search engine optimization guy go. He was from Bangladesh. He was great. The other individual was doing my bookkeeping. He decided to start his own business. We mutually parted ways. I have a virtual person from Arizona that I'm interviewing next week, and she'll probably take over my books, which is fine by me. I'd rather pay $25 an hour to have somebody do my books than have somebody pay $10, pay somebody $10 an hour and have them screw it up, because the IRS is a nasty organization and I don't want to deal with them.
So how do you train all these different assistants for all these different things? That's something I'm having a hard time with.
Larry, you know me, I don't upsell anything. I just don't do it. But I will tell you that I trust REVA because I know Bob LaChance and I know Amy. So, and in my opinion, I've really never had a bad assistant that came from them who didn't want to work hard. You can go onto Upwork and get somebody for $4 to $6 an hour. I have friends who do it, and that's great. Good for them. I'd rather pay $9.65 and get somebody with a college degree who speaks English, even though it's a second language. And I know that they speak Tagalog as their first primary language. I don't care. They speak well. They're intelligent. They break things down for me. My personal assistant keeps me in line. I get every once in a while, I'll get a shiny object syndrome, and he'll be like, "Hey, bud, remember we were supposed to be doing this today? Thank you. Tangent alert. Got it. We're good."
Yeah, I have a lot of problems with getting off track.
Right?
We have some people doing this minute pain in the ass stuff that I'm doing.
Hey, everything's minute until it's not, right?
Right. I mean, it's all got to be done. Every little piece is very important. Without any of them, nothing happens. But on the other hand, if you're not looking at the houses and talking to the people, then you're not going to get the houses to do the little details for. So it's,
Right. Well,
are all your lead generators and lead managers through REVA?
they are.
And so you use 3 of them actually. And are they
Yes.
all part-time or full-time?
They're all full time. Worth every
So
dime. I used to tell my airmen, I'm not actually lazy. I'm technically lazy. I want to work as hard and as fast as possible so I can do nothing for the rest of the month.
Exactly. That is
Right.
exactly what I'm doing. And, I'm not lazy technically. I just have a hard time with organizing and staying in front of a computer for hours on it.
I can give you a hint, a little nugget here. I use taskers in Google, in Google Calendar, as opposed to, so I will put information into RealFlow and Slack. And I'll go into Slack and I'll say, "Hey, Ron, this is the conversation I have with this guy. This is what we're going." And then all of a sudden my lead manager puts that conversation into RealFlow, into the custom section. Ron takes that task that I had. We have to have a follow-up phone call. He'll drag that to another open spot on my calendar, and I know where I'm going from day to day. So to put it in perspective, I had at one point in time, I was doing everything myself, and I was so busy doing the job, I didn't have time to scale. I decided to flip that script on myself, and now I'm scaling so fast that I don't have time to do the job.
But the hardest part for me is I've never been good at delegating. I've always had a hard time with that. When we had our rainbow store, I had managers, whatever. Or when I ran them for other people, I was still the manager. But I would go in and give people their supplies because I don't like to let go.
Yep.
Of course, you don't run very good when you got 50 things to do and you're trying to do it all. My wife's teaching me a lot, and I've learned a lot from you. You're actually why I'm going to use REVA.
Good. Okay. Well, that's great. Make sure you say that when you call them or text them or talk to their manager, because they do have managers. They have 3 levels in there. So it's the person that you're dealing with. They have a manager and he has a manager.
I need to email them today so we can start getting that set up. and figure out what we're going to be having them do at first. Because again, I've got to be careful.
The first thing you should do, Larry, honestly, the first thing you should do is turn over your schedule. Find yourself an assistant. That's my opinion, because that frees you up to do other stuff. So instead of having to deal with where am I going tomorrow and what am I doing, it becomes, okay, my assistant told me I have an appointment here, here, and here. That gives me 30 minutes to do this. Let me see what's the best use of my time, and let them deal with the $10 stuff while you're dealing with the $200 stuff.
I need to read some good time management books too. That's organization and not letting go are my two biggest failures.
So I will recommend to you to go onto the Homeschooled Facebook page, go to the search bar, type in my name, go to the Google Drive, the Google Docs sheet that says stuff Bud uses or stuff Bud talks about, and then go to the job description for your personal assistant. Okay. And I got that from Michael Hyatt and his book. It's like your personal assistant. I forget what it's called. I can't see it from here. It's like right there and I can't see it. But just check out that job description, and no kidding, I've got it spelled out: finance, family, personal, business. Each company has its own checklist. Each person has their own check. Like I've got my checklist. My family has a 4-hour block. If my wife needs something, she picks up the phone and says, Ron, Bud and I have this appointment on Saturday.
So that goes to your person. Everything goes to them and they keep you in line.
Everything goes to Google Calendar, and Google Calendar gives me a 1 hour, 30-minute, and 5-minute notification.
I get notifications from Calendly because I put all this stuff. Everybody's set up with Calendly, so that's what I've been getting my notifications from. Except for Sean.
I know we're going over, but let me blow your mind for 1 second. You ready?
Okay.
When you're using Calendly, make sure it's linked to your company account, not your personal account. Because at some point, you're going to use some system somewhere that will start pulling your personal contacts and dropping them into your client resource management tool, and it will not be pulling contacts from the appropriate account. Ask me how I know. I just went through this the other day.
Now, my phone and Google try to share contacts. I'm like, no, my mom doesn't need you to call her.
That's great.
So I try not to let it, because everything now is trying to coexist. Everything's trying to work together.
Sure. Integration is the key.
And that's great. But again, like you said, you got to keep it separated.
Yeah. Sometimes. I love the fact that Slack works with Asana and Slack work with RealFlow works with PropStream works with Podio works with, and so on and so on and so forth. Right.
Yeah. I'm barely using RealFlow and Deal Machine, trying to figure those two out. So
give it 3 years, man. You're going to be teaching people how to do this stuff. I guarantee it.
Oh, I hope so. I love teaching. I love helping people. That's what my favorite thing to do is teach people what I know, whether they want me to or not. Ask my kids. Ask my wife.
That's awesome.
And I want to get my realtor's license just to have it.
Yep.
There are advantages to it. I don't want to sell real estate. I want to invest in it. I want somebody else to sell it, to buy it, to do all that. I just want to be the guy behind the scenes, making sure it's going smooth.
But Larry, at some point, here's what's going to happen. You're going to wind up with somebody saying, hey, can you teach me what you do? And that's when you start Larry Duger Consulting, right? And then you take that person, you assist them in buying the house, and you get your real estate fee, your commission from the seller. Then you charge them a fee to walk them through the process. And then they sell it, and you're the agent, and you get your seller's commission then. So that's 3 streams of income on the same deal. That's what I do.
A lot to work on and a lot to take in. It gets harder as you go. It really does. Until you get it to a certain spot, then it gets easier.
Never gets easier. You're always looking for it. It never gets. And you know what, though? That's the great part about it, Larry, is that you're looking at this and you're going, okay, so I had some success as a solopreneur. So now I'm like, all right, I'm chomping at the bit to do this thing as an entrepreneur, right? I don't want to do anything myself. I want to get this all out and delegate it. And then I want to succeed at that. And oh, by the way, then when I get done with that, I want to do it again.
How do I start? Where should I start? I'm still confused as to where to start having somebody do what.
Did you get my 2-person or 5-person company breakdown? Because there are really 5 divisions that you need to worry about, right? Lead generation, acquisitions, marketing, dispositions, and accounting. I think it was the 5 that I was. Underwriting falls under accounting, or they fall under acquisitions. It depends where you want them, but underwriting is in there as well. Marketing is how you begin to generate leads. The lead generation division is actually the people who take those leads, bring them in, hand them over to acquisitions. Acquisitions then hands them over to dispositions. Dispositions then gets rid of the properties or puts them in a rental folder or portfolio. All right, guys, I'm going to punch. All right. Larry, everything we talked about is going to be on the email. Remember that the link to the next call, if you choose to do so, is at the bottom. Okay. And listen, if you ever want to go to a different coach, you ever want to talk to somebody else, you have an idea about something, let me know. I'll be more than happy to give you a recommendation to whoever it is you're going to talk to. All right, guys. I will talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later, sir. Be good.
Bye, Lacey.
Have a good one, man.
All right. You too. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hey, just a reminder, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want some more real estate and finance related videos, you can check out our other videos right here. And as always, aim high.